A lot happening in the NBA over the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Kerr announcing after Golden State's loss to Minnesota Friday that Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Andre Iguodala would all sit Saturday versus the Spurs. Here's Kerr on that decision.
I genuinely feel bad for the fans who bought tickets and came to see Steph or Klay or Draymond. But I have to do what I have to do. And our team has been through the ringer here the last couple of weeks. The travel has really worn us out, and we needed to get through this game, and I'm really happy those guys are going to get several days rest before our next game, and I think this will put us on a good course going forward. We needed to do this.
We're seeing a lot of this lately, guys. Max, I want to start with you. Do you have a problem with Kerr benching his stars?
No, not at all. I mean, look, I get the, hey, how do all these guys, including Steve Kerr as a coach, make so much money? It's the fans and the paying fans. It's not fair to the customer. I get that. That's a league issue.
Yep.
Or a team, the team in the league, they got to figure that out during the season. Once the season begins, and by the way, this is the way the league has marketed itself. The players have all kind of internalized this message, as have the fans. It's about championships. So Steve Kerr is not trying to pursue history in the regular season, as they did last year, and maybe that was a mistake. He's trying to win a championship. And it's instructive that he didn't bench these guys for the Minnesota game. He did it against San Antonio. He's not trying to tip his hand to Popovich. They may meet in the Western Conference Finals. They're not trying to show each other their cards. I get that. Now, eventually, the league, the team, the players, as I mentioned, they may have to work this stuff out. But during the season, it is not incumbent upon Steve Kerr in this case, or as we've talked in the past, upon LeBron James during the season to put business interests ahead of their competitive interests. And competitive interests have nothing to do with the regular season in a vacuum. Isolate it all has to do with giving yourself the best chance to win a championship. If I'm a paying customer and a Warriors fan, and I believe my coach is trying to placate me as a ticket holder that day instead of keeping his eyes on the prize, that would make me upset. You have to put the competitive interest mid-season ahead of everything else.
Well, I disagree with you, but it goes far deeper for me than what you're saying. Business interests, competitive interests, what have you. We're acting like we can't find a happy medium here, and that's what's insulting to the American public as far as I'm concerned. You didn't sit Steph Curry. You didn't sit Klay Thompson. You didn't sit Draymond Green. You didn't sit Andre Iguodala. You sat all of them. Now, don't tell me that over the course of a season you couldn't have figured out a way not to sit all of them at the same time for a nationally televised game against a huge rival. As far as I'm concerned, ESPN, ABC, Walt Disney should be on the phone with Adam Silver and the NBA today to figure out a way to get some of their money back. You robbed the paying customer. You robbed the television viewer. I don't see any give-backs to the networks for the money they dole out. I don't see any give-backs to the fans. Don't tell me that the fans paid to see, when they saw this on the schedule, that they paid to see Patrick McCaw, who, by the way, shot 0 for 12 from the field on Saturday night, Matt Barnes, Sean Livingston, Jaja Pajulia, and Kevon Looney. Don't tell me that. I'm just saying to you that there's something to be said for the entertainment aspect. I get the part about business. I get the part about, competitive, the difference between business and competitive. I know that you're vying for a championship. I know that you've had 6 games in 9 days, and the miles that you've accumulated is grotesquely unfair. Would it surprise me at all? And I'm certainly not saying that this happened because I don't know anything about it, no inside information here because I haven't asked. But it wouldn't surprise me if Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich collaborated with one another and were like, the hell with the NBA, considering the schedule that they put us through, and the networks who co-sign on it, et cetera, et cetera. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm not saying that happened. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. In the end, Max, what it comes down to is this. Again, I believe, that's a different argument about whether or not somebody should be sitting on the road as opposed to home and stuff like that. That's a different argument for a different day. We ain't talking about one dude sitting.
Why do you
We're
sit
talking
I was
about
so excited for this
guys.
game,
But
too.
why
You
would-
circle-
Four guys.
You circle these games
sure.
on your
But
calendar.
why?
concede
Why
this
is it
match.
all four?
I'm
Yeah.
saying, at least concede this.
Okay.
It's a total disregard for the
That's
public
why it took
and
guts.
the league.
This is why it took guts from
Well-
Steve Kerr. Think about this. First of all, you're willing to risk a first-round matchup against the Thunder. He's cool with that. I like that. Secondly, you know it's a nationally televised game.
Yeah.
You're not resting one. You're resting them all. That actually takes guts. And even if that leads, it's so outrageous, it leads to a rules change eventually. Steve Kerr's not worried about that down the road. Maybe he even wants a rules change. He's playing within the rules as they are currently constructed. And he doesn't want to tip his hand.
Is that what you think the intention is?
Of course, all four. All four, it's not only to give them
But I
rest.
mean, it wasn't, like you're saying, to deal with the schedule and not have this kind of gauntlet of road games.
No, well, maybe. It's a muscular move. It does
Yeah.
more than one thing. But one of the things it does is, okay, Pop, you're not going to get that experience against playing against all of our best
Pop
guys and be able to game plan for it. I'm going to hold these cards. I'll see you in the playoffs. And Popovich is doing the same thing because both coaches are not taking their eye off the ball. They're vying for a championship, bending the rules or using the rules to give themselves the best chance. And if the rules change, then they'll have to deal with that.
What I'm saying is this. You know, I would have far more respect for the players if they surrendered a game paycheck. If they sat up there and said, you know what, listen, you know, I don't want to show up to work today. It's a nationally televised game. I'm saying it has an impact. Let's not act like it does not. It has an impact. And I don't recall any of these guys that want to play in front of an empty stadium. What if the setup that, and at some point in time, let me be the first to say this. The fans really are the ones that have to do something about this. The fans, if they're going to announce that they're not playing guys, the fans need not show up. They don't need to show up to the arena. They don't need to watch it on television because
But what do they do if they already paid for it, Stephen? You know what I mean? So in terms of you're paying a lot of money, your kids want to go.
But what I'm saying to you in terms of making a statement to provoke change, there is nothing in life that you're able to accomplish without sacrifice. And that even though, listen, you ain't going to get your money back anyway, but perhaps what fans should sit up there and do is don't go to the game. And by the way, when we knew, because we knew Saturday morning when I had to do Sports Center on a Saturday morning, thank God I didn't have to fly out there for that. Could you imagine what my attitude would be this morning if I had to fly out there that Saturday night for that game?
It would have made good TV, though.
I'm telling you, it would have been a problem. It would have been a problem. I'm telling you that right now.
It's not that these aren't issues, and it's going to be difficult to legislate this stuff, but it can maybe be done. You can incentivize teams to play players. It's just that you can't do it in the middle of a season. You're going to have to deal with this in the offseason. It's a league issue.
The Saturday
it's none of Steve Kerr's business.
So good last
the business
year.
of it's none of Steve Kerr's business right now.
Listen, Steve Kerr didn't do something wrong, but he also isn't innocent in all of this because he made it his business by the decision to bench all four guys. If you benched one, I got that. We might not like it, but it makes sense. But when you bench all four, I mean, listen, Andre Iguodala made news for all the wrong reasons this past weekend. I think to some degree there was a level of frustration.
You know what that
because you know he wanted to play.
Biggest takeaway from me is that Steve Kerr is surveying the landscape and saying, forget about, you're right, the fans at the moment, the TV networks, the league, the ward, everybody, forget about the Thunder in the first round. I got to worry about every little advantage I can get against the Spurs because that's the team I'm going to have to get by.
That's your biggest takeaway. My biggest takeaway is that the fans should not have shown up, nor should they have watched. I did not watch 1 second of that game, and I work for the damn network. And I did not watch 1 second, and I am proud to say I did not watch 1 second because the fans, including myself, were robbed Saturday night.
I know what you were watching Saturday night.
They robbed the fans, and they robbed ESPN, ABC.
I know what you were watching Saturday night.
There's no excuse for four dudes to be sitting down.
I know what you were watching Saturday night.
I was watching that fight.
Lemieux's left hook.
That's left hook.
Yeah.
Well, I watched it. I don't think Curtis watched it.
Lemieux knocked out Curtis Stevens. Yeah, middleweight slugfest.
He just felt it.
I called the fight.
That was a good fight.
You
well
did a
done
damn
by
good
you.
job calling the fight, by the way, as always.
Let's get into Sunday night, though, guys. Big win for the Rockets.